I think the ones who understand where I've been going with all this have also come through different stages by themselves to realize that even the whole spiritual side of things, not just in this age but in all ages, has been given to the public and controlled, updated, you might say, just like a program of a computer.
Yeah.
That there's certain realities that everyone knows, and all ages, all peoples, and that is that we sometimes know there's something else beyond us. We all get to that step.
Yeah.
And of course that's what priesthoods in all ages have also known, that we have a yearning for something beyond all of this.
Yeah.
That once in a while you feel maybe a little closer to, it could be very transient experience, generally when you're on your own, or it's quiet, or it's nighttime or something. But it's something that transcends all the worry and the induced worry, the controlled worry that we have in this planet.
Yeah.
However, the priesthoods in all ages have used all kinds of tricks through charlatans and dominated this need that humanity has to control the people rather than free the people.
Mm-hmm.
Anything which tells you that there's a fate, or it's written in the stars, or it's revelations, or it's God's will, that's the trick of predictive programming.
Yeah.
It makes you feel helpless, nothing you can do about it, it's the way it's going to be. And psychological warfare experts in all ages understand this technique. They even rehashed Nostradamus' prophecies of World War II for the Nazis, and they dropped leaflets all over Poland with slants on it predicting that, well, see, Nostradamus said it, so it's going to be, you've had it, you're going to be overrun.
Yeah, yeah.
To try and make the people give up psychologically. So a few people in all ages can go past all of that and see through it and have their own natural experience. I call it natural experiences because anything that happens has to be natural.
Yeah, yeah.
Even what's called supernatural by others. But the problem today is we live in a scientific age where science has been able for a long time to mimic what people think of as spiritual experiences. Not only that, for instance, here's a good example. The New Age movement was funded from its inception in the West by mainly the MI6, the big foundations that work in conjunctions with MI6 and the CIA, and they promoted the whole New Age movement and the whole blending of what was seen to be Indian mysticism with Christianity. Now, even in the 1800s, Blavatsky and others were sent out to start the ball rolling in that direction. And she said herself that the object was eventually to blend science with the spirit. This crossing of science and spirit. So, Nick Begich and other people have demonstrated the obsolete technology, the portable handheld remote-type devices that can insert a thought in a person's brain by line of sight. And you could be walking along the countryside and suddenly you'd have this eureka moment, or have a vision, or hear a voice, or hear God talking to you. And you'd believe it was God, because after all, what else could it be?
Yeah.
And, of course, what we've found out, too, through declassified information, the funding of the big movements towards the New Age movement, with all the meditation schools in the West, many of them had this technology embedded in the walls. So people were having their own meditation. They pay their money like good citizens in a capitalist system, and they expect results, and by golly, God talks to you.
You got it, yeah.
So they've been using what would seem to be the general public to be magical techniques, which are only scientific techniques, to try and simulate something which they know themselves is occasionally real to a few people down through the ages.
Yeah.
Now, the other big problem is when you go into these areas, you'll find the bulk of the populace who haven't studied much in their lives. In fact, they haven't known reality in their own lives. They take things for granted. What they do accept is fear. They all feel fear or uncertainty of the economy or whatever the next fear is that's spouted by the media. They feel all that. And so fear tends to push them into looking for an escape route.
Of
and
course.
So once again, in come the religionists or the New Agers movement to say, hey, nothing's real anyway. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. An old trick that was learned in India because that was used in India for thousands of years to control the people. You could sit and watch your wife being slaughtered and your family being slaughtered.
Yeah.
But if you've been trained that nothing is real, you'd sit there and smile as it was happening, and then they go round to killing you.
Yeah, that's a part of the caste system, I guess, in itself.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. So
we're literally taught that nothing was really real, you know.
So what you're saying here in a way is that this is to help pacify people from actually going out and doing something about, what's rotten in the world, I guess.
Yeah, they don't even participate in changing what's happening, what they know is happening, or they find out is happening. They rather than participate in trying to make it better, or even deviate from the course that is planned, they'd rather go into complete escapism and not look at the express train that's coming up the tracks behind them.
Yeah.
So that, again, is psychological warfare. Those people have already been mentally disarmed because they're not participating in this life. In ancient times, they would talk about the completed person. This used to be known even in early Christianity because it predated Christianity. But a completed person was the first Trinity. That was body, soul, and spirit, Trinity.
Yeah.
And over years, soul somehow got blended with spirit until it became the same, and then it missed the mark. Because the whole idea of being here in the world in ancient times was for your soul, which did the seeking, that was the motivating factor, to find its own other part. That was the real soulmate. That was spirit. It was that which was really part of you but disconnected. And the person who sought, that was the old journey, was to seek it. And if it came towards you and joined, you were completed. That's where the term even genia or genius came from in the Greek. So you had a responsibility on earth that wasn't just to live, marry and have children or accumulate wealth or whatever.
Yeah.
It was also to complete a journey. The soul in itself, it was said, this is what was believed, at least amongst the people, but the soul itself had no real personality. Okay. And if the person failed to complete the mission, then when they died, the soul just went back into the big soup mix, and it didn't gain anything. Nothing was retained. The whole idea of the ancient forms of perfection meant that the actual soul would do its journey through the person, through the body, mate with the spirit itself, which is pure understanding, and be complete. Once you were complete, after death, you would have knowledge. You would continue. If you didn't, the soul went back. There was no repetition. There was no you anymore. That's what it used to mean. So they had all these ancient debates in Babylon and different places about all of this.
Yeah.
It's written, if you understand the journeys of the Ka and the Ba in Egypt, what they really all mean, because there's always an esoteric side to things and an exoteric side for the bulk of the populace who would rather have ritual and people of same minds going through the same rituals with the same dogmas that makes people feel comfortable, where it was always the specific individual who went beyond that and understood the esoteric. it's interesting that science today has tried to emulate all of those things which we called beforehand supernatural.
Yeah, yeah.
And and a lot of it has been accomplished already. They could, if an experience happens in your mind, and you see a vision or you hear a voice that's intelligible and makes sense to you, you could never be sure anymore if it's been induced through science, because they understand the language of the codings, again, the frequencies of both the visual cortex and the auditory, and they can create both, and that's declassified stuff.
So
now we're in trouble.
Now we're in trouble.